Hello, everybody, and welcome to a chat series called Coming Back Home with Shaman Rakhee. Okay, when I say Shaman Rakhee, when I prefix the word shaman to Rakhee, you tend to have this whole images about this person called Shaman Rakhee. Is she this magical person with some magical healing powers, or is she from Latin America, and all that great stuff? But simply put, in for me, Shaman Rakhee, for me, she's somebody who is very, very close to her consciousness, and somebody being with her, what I feel, you tend to get close to your consciousness. That's for me how I'll define Shaman Rakhee. So welcome, Rakhee.
Oh,
Hello.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for all these kind words.
So Rakhee, so today we want to talk about listening to our body as a topic. Something we always we always talk about listening to our body. It's something very casually spoken word. We should listen to our body. We should listen to our inner self. So what does that mean actually?
Listening to yourself, in one way, it is very easily or loosely spoken. But when I look into it, I also feel, yes, it is exactly what it is. Listening to yourself is simply listening to that inner voice within yourself. So of course, we or a lot of people don't have or don't know how that voice sounds like, right? Is it your ego speaking? This is something I always hear. How do I differentiate if it's my ego or my inner voice or my wisdom speaking?
Right. That's exactly my question. Yes. Is it
yes,
my wisdom or is it my ego?
Yes, yeah, a lot of people, of course, a lot of us, yes, there is no exception here. A lot of us are somehow unconsciously taught to listen to our egos, right? Again, ego is not our enemy. Ego is our great friend in one way. It's our first friend. So everything that our ego tries to tell us or tries to warn us is in one way, it is trying to help us, right? But we should know the difference when we should listen to that friend and when we should calm our friend and make that contact and say, it's okay, I know you are trying to help me, but I need to use my wisdom. So there are a few things that you can easily be aware to know if it's your ego speaking to you or your wisdom. Is anything that has to do with fear, anything that has to do with duality, which means good or bad, anything that is pushing you back into the past and fast forwarding you to the future is always coming from your ego. So when you're making a decision or when you are having a question and when you're checking in with yourself, if it is based on these things, and if it is a very demanding, loud voice, you should know that this is not my wisdom. Wisdom will never be so demanding, loud. It will never be in that tone. Wisdom is always a quiet, compassionate, loving voice. It's always rooted in the present moment. And as you know, in the present moment, there is very less manipulation, or at least the chances of less fear, less manipulation is very high in that present moment. So the wisdom will always talk to you in that way. So when you say, or when anyone is saying, listening to yourself means listening to this inner wisdom which is inside of you.
And is it because it's kind of quiet, kind of, in the present moment? Is it because of the nature of it, that we tend to miss listening to wisdom, because we are so distracted. It's a world of distraction. So that leads to my second question. Why are we trying to run away from listening to ourselves, right? So we try to keep ourselves busy, and the society as a whole, we push ourselves to be productive, working, you know. We appreciate, I mean, we are happy talking about our type A personalities, so everything seems like, we don't want to listen. I mean, maybe, I don't know if we don't want to, or we are scared of, or maybe we just want to stay away from all this and just keep running. Why do we do that?
I feel for most of us, we don't even know that there is this wisdom within us, right? We are always taught that the wisdom should be put into us from a different channel. We raise children as if they are they're empty, right? Most of us, we were raised like that, of course, unconsciously. Our parents raised us or made us believe that you don't know, or we don't know. Everything had to be taught. Everything had to be filled in, because as if we came empty. And everything we thought we knew, and
so they were given this empty jar. So they were given this empty jar, and their sole responsibility was to fill it up.
Yes. So that is the I would say it starts, of course, it starts much before the time that we are really in the hands of our loving parents. But it gets more rigid because of this kind of an upbringing. Right? So when every child, or when most children are growing up in such a home, when there is no actual teaching about really being aware of this wisdom, how will that child suddenly will have the confidence and awareness when the child becomes a young adult? You are completely disconnected, right? You are in most homes, there is not much time, right? Parents don't have the time and also the wisdom themselves to appreciate the little things in life. We always forget that the little things in life are the big things, right? They are always the big things in life. So when parents themselves...
So how would you do that with your son? When you raise your son, what do you do?
The first thing that is coming to my heart is that when I feel that I have not done something the way it should have, I will be the first one to genuinely say sorry. I would tell him, there is no ego at all. I will tell him, I should have thought about this. I somehow couldn't in that moment. I am truly sorry. I will do my best to think about this perspective as well. So openly showing my child that I am a work in progress, that is something that I'm very openly doing every time, so that he knows that everyone in this little home is working on themselves. We are capable of evolution. We evolved from where to where now, right? So there is always a chance to tell your child that, yes, I didn't know this before. Oh, now you taught me. You taught me something today. They're great teachers, right? We know that. All of us know that. Children, they are brilliant teachers. So I always openly also allow him to work with his emotions, show his emotions. Emotions are wonderful. Let it be anger or frustration. We don't tag anything as a bad emotion. Nothing is bad, right? No emotion that is coming out from that beautiful little self or yourself is not bad. So helping my child to see that every emotion can be transformed. Energy, that's a beautiful thing about energy, right? Energy can be transformed. We are continuously transforming energy. So there is always a huge possibility. So he knows that if he does something which was unpleasant for himself or me or someone else, he knows that he can change. I feel that that is the biggest gift that you can give a child, just to simply open up that door so he knows that, or she knows that it's okay. It's okay to make a little mistake. It's okay to even make a big mistake. It's fine. We are human. We are here to learn and and get up and get going. So we don't make anything as if it's the end of the world. That's also something I almost every week I hear myself, or I catch myself reminding myself, oh, that's not the end of the world. So, and we have to then after that we will be laughing at the same thing. So teaching our children that we always have a choice, no matter how difficult it looks like. We can evolve into whatever we want to be, wherever we want us to see that harmony, that balance, or whatever name that you want to call, joy or happiness. We are the creator of that, right? We choose. If we want to suffer, we are choosing that suffering. So we can, in many ways, of course, it's not completely black and white. We can grow through that suffering, because life is like a big summer salad in one way. There are a lot of components to it. Otherwise, it won't be that summer salad, right? If you just handpick one fruit or one vegetable to go into that salad, you can't call it a full salad. So knowing that life will always have these difficult times and sad times and frustrating times, but that's what makes it so beautiful as well.
Sure. So the thing is intuition. When we talk about intuition, it's been always there. Even before we were born, within the womb, it was always present within us, right? The only challenge is that we never figured it out, right? So to figure it out, I think the first step is to even realize the fact that there is a disconnect. Never try to figure it out. So what do you, like, from a normal person's standpoint, how do I know that I have a disconnect? I'm not in touch with my intuition. How do I know that?
I would say the easiest way to monitor that, or to be aware of it, is when you are addicted to something. When you look at addiction, or when you look at obesity, when you look at any kind of a compulsive pull towards something, that itself is showing that you are trying to fill something within you. There is something that is not in harmony, so that you're reaching outside to fulfill it. Even when someone is overworking and also spending too much time even working out, doing physical activity up to the point of completely exhausting themselves, that is an addiction. A lot of us, again, we have to go back to childhood, and also go back to childhood neglect, emotional, spiritual neglect. When we were a child, we become addicted to our problems, our suffering. So we are addicted to a lot of stress, a lot of drama, as a lot of people would put it. So I'm sure we all know a lot of friends or family members who are continuously addicted to some kind of drama, right? They cannot just leave things as it is. Of course, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't stand up for yourself and take your stand. But this means that there are people, there are always people in and around many of us who will continuously want to be surrounded by some kind of an issue. So you see what they're doing. They're actually very used to that kind of stress in their life. So they go out looking for it. They can't let other people be. That there should be something that they will be triggered. They will be triggered too quickly. So you will see that they can't allow people in their truth, right? So that they are very much addicted to that stress hormone. So they go out looking for things which they are very comfortable with. As you know, with a lot of us, when we know something, we go and repeat it. And the same thing is that when we are resisting something, that will be repeated. So this is why I always try to bring the focus to a middle path, not really resisting and punishing yourself when you make a mistake or when you have done something which you're not fully proud of, and also not going the other way around. So the extremes never help, right? So when people are going back into their childhood wounds, their childhood neglect and their pain, they grow up and they do the same. So there are lots of addictions that you just need to be very honest and sit and ask yourself, okay, what am I trying to fill here when I am exhausting myself? There are people who continuously need entertainment or adventure, right? They have to jump from somewhere. What are they trying to do? They're trying to feel this temple, this body. That is what they're trying to do. Also, sometimes when people are saying...
Trying to feel.
Yes, they're trying to feel this body because they're completely disconnected. So when you are jumping from somewhere, or when you have your favorite cake or your favorite drink, a lot of people say, oh, it is so good. Almost like I have come alive. So that substance or that activity is somehow able to touch their body, somehow able to touch a part of themselves that they can't touch otherwise.
So it's like I feel alive when I'm addicted to something. I get that something, right? So I feel I have to be externally, stimulated so much to feel alive.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That is where I mean, if that's the case, I should know that there's a huge disconnect that's there with me. That is the core reason why I'm so addicted to something.
Absolutely.
And it could be anything, it could be a positive thing, as you said. It could be even exercise. It could be anything. Work. It could be just anything, positive or negative.
Yes. When you are always pushing yourself to be in action, when you are continuously switched on, you should know that I need to slow down. There's something that I'm running away here.
Yeah. Sure. So, and also, Rakhee, is this also a reason why if I'm somebody who's always thinking about the past or worried about the future, like my mind never settles down, either like it's going back or it's thinking about the future. So it can never sit in the present. Is that also a sign?
Yes.
So it comes with anxiety if it's future.
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
fear,
that is. Mm-hmm.
Or past all the past trauma, sadness. So it's that's your mental frame most of the time.
Yes, absolutely. When you are continuously in the past, or when you are continuously in the future, there is a lot of anxiety, there is a lot of worry, right? Of course, all of us will be moving from the past to the present and then to the future. We are continuously doing that. Uh, so it's good to remember the importance of being here and now, being in your reality, being in your truth. And of course, again, truth is also continuously changing. Everything is continuously in motion. Everything is in movement here. So that is why being able to be very lucid, being able to be really flowing like water is so important. Not being stuck somewhere, stuck in the idea of how things should have been like. Then we are always in the past. Oh, I wish that had not happened to me. I wish someone else had behaved in a different way to me. Yes, it is painful. We all suffer that, right? We all have something to look into the past and wish, oh, I wish that was different. And the same thing in the future. You're so worried. You're so anxious about the future. What will happen to me? What will happen to my child? Or what will happen to my mother? We're always worried. So that is why coming into the sacredness of the present moment, when you are not trying to manipulate, when there is less fear, and when you are really surrendering to that beautiful moment. And from that space, when you do any action, it will not be the same like when you're really pushing yourself into action. So you come into a space where you are more trusting, more in harmony, more aligned to what is the most important to you. So there are, of course, many human needs, basic human needs. So you will be a little bit more closer to yourself, to ask yourself, to wonder what is the most important thing for me. And as you know, if any of these human needs are pushed to a different height, or any of these things are kept as the most important, we will suffer. Right? So when we talk about growth, where spiritual growth, financial growth, all kinds of growth is coming, or when you talk about love, friendships, connections, when we talk about a stability in our life, or the variety of choices in our life. So a lot of these things are basic needs for everyone, each and every one of us. But we should know what and how we are placing them in front of us, and giving everything equal attention, equal importance. So when we are running away from ourselves, running away from our pain, running away from something that is not allowing us to fall into this clarity, then suffering is bound to happen, because then we are blocked to actually see what is truly important.
It's very true, Rakhi. So from my experience, what I feel like, what you said, like running away from pain, right? So that is a bigger suffering rather than so if I flow like a river, right? And if I flow like a river and there's huge rocks out there, what the river does is just flows on top of it, right? So, but rather than it doesn't try to avoid it, right? For me, that's my personal experience, with pain. That if I try to avoid it, that doesn't help actually. That never helps. But if I just flow and let go, let me through it, accepting it, how harsh it is, it's not up to me. I think it's better for me. I think I just absorb it, and it could transform in a, even a more. It could transform in a more beautiful way,
Mhm.
rather than saying no. Stay. Let me stay away from it, or I don't want to talk about it. I want to think about it. I don't know. Had conversation with friends on grief where this topic comes up. No, we don't like talking about it.
Mm.
We stay away from it. So I say no. For me, it's different. If I do that, it's like I'm going away from myself. So I would rather talk. I would rather write. I would rather cry. I would rather just
Yes, please do.
be submerged in it. I think that's more beautiful for me than trying to be, that doesn't exist, that pain. Let me just stay away from that. So,
Yes.
what you said, I think, yeah, that's right.
It's
So,
wonderful to be true to how you want your emotions to flow out. That is that I would say that is the biggest or the most beautiful part of a shamanic healing. You're truly allowed to be a human. This is how we healed for thousands of years, right? Really letting our pain, letting our fear come out, and not by suppressing it. We heal with music, we heal with dance, we heal with stories, we heal with raw, open, beautiful, pure connection and communication, where there is no judgment, where there are no rules and protocols, and that's how humans have always healed from the wounds of our hearts. So that is why letting it flow out, let all the tears come out, that is a natural way of healing and transforming that energy of grief. So please continue to listen to yourself, listen to your heart, because that is the most beautiful way to transform. And also, like everything that you feel is necessary to do in that moment, please do that.
sure. So, I think, yeah, so the last question that I have would be, okay, so what are the things we should do, like to be able to listen to our intuition? What is it that we should bring in our lives? And this is for, like, basic level where people were never listening, and now we want to start. So at that level.
Yes, at that very basic level, I would say start a good relationship with yourself. We are taught to be people pleasers, most of us, especially women. I would say we are taught to nod, right? Yes, for
That's how
everything.
good.
Yes, be
That's
the
the
good
definition of
girl.
good woman.
Yes, be
Good
the
girl.
good
Good
girl.
girl.
Always.
That's
Yes. So
yeah.
that people pleasing, first of all, is manipulation. We are taught to manipulate the present moment, which is heartbreaking, right? We are taught to be manipulating everything so that somehow there is a control, or we think that we have control over the person who we are sitting with and about the outcome of that conversation, right? When I nod yes to something which I don't even want to do, I am somehow imagining that I have full control in that situation. I know the outcome, right? Because I nodded yes. So I would say it starts from that space as well, being a good friend to yourself. Ask yourself, how do you feel when you do this? In my practice, I always tell people that it might sound very harsh or too direct, but I don't want to sugarcoat these things. Ask yourself, do you want, or do I want to be a manipulator, or do I want to be an honest human? Do I want to be honest with my own emotions? Do I want to stand by what I am feeling? When you hear a no, a clear no, listen to it, because that's the only way you're building that deep connection with yourself. Because if you are doing the opposite every time when your heart is speaking to you, when the wisdom is speaking to you, you will slowly stop hearing the wisdom. Because your ego, your fear, your manipulation within yourself is the highest. It's of the highest order, right? You have given the power there. So whatever or wherever you're giving that power, it grows. So your ego is now a full-blown ego where there is no space for wisdom. So ask yourself, am I a good friend to myself? Or am I continuously making decisions based on different values? Or just simply people-pleasing? So I would say start there. And of course, the second is to, again, listening to the sensations of your body. Give attention to your senses. In many ways, I always see this beautiful system as a temple or a beautiful fort. So when you are feeling like we are built like a big fort. So there are many doors, right? To also with the temple or with the holy shrine, it's always built in such a way that there are many doors to reach the main shrine. If you look at ancient temples, old temples, you will always see that the main shrine is never quick to reach. You will have to open many doors, go inside to be in that shrine, right? And we are also built like that. So we should work with our senses. We should be more aware of our senses. I'm talking about the 5 senses. So we should know, okay, what are we feeding this system? What kind of ideas are crossing my mind? What am I listening to? What am I watching most of the day? What am I eating? How am I taking in that food? All of this is fuel. And this is like the first door of this beautiful temple. How are we guarding this door? So for even with people who are not depressed, or who sometimes people would say, no, I'm not depressed. I am just really heavily stressed. I can't eat and I'm sleeping bad for the last 1 year. The rest, everything is okay. So even when they themselves don't know, like if they are in the verge of a burnout, this is something that anyone at any point can start practicing. Look at what you're feeding yourself. You are in control of your senses, right? You can decide what you order to eat or what you're cooking, or you can decide what kind of music or what kind of movies and what kind of books you are reading, right? So a lot of the things that are sensory, we can manage it. So putting a little bit more focus into guarding this main door is very, very helpful when you're starting this practice. Look, sit with the feelings, sit with the sensation of your body. What do you like? What do you don't like? Those are also big things. It's not just about what you like, but the opposite is also important. What are the things that you have a resistance to? So spending time with yourself, learning about all these different things is also really, truly helpful when you start this practice. So then, of course, looking at the food is also a main part, right? Because that is something that people easily get addicted to, easily get a companionship with, because you're looking for friendship. You're looking for a connection with something, and food is so easy to form that deep bond. So we've all had the time when something is so important to you every day. I hear this all the time when people come to me there. They would be like, you won't take my coffee away from me, right?
I would ask that.
Right. So there is always something. Maybe it's a cup of chai. If it is an Indian, they will be like, you won't take my chai away from me, right? Do I have to stop drinking chai, or do I have to stop drinking coffee? And we have a nice joke. I always tell them, no, I won't do it. I am not here to put all these rules, but you will do it yourself. That is a more creepier part. I won't do it. You will do it yourself when you are in harmony, when you are a little bit more closer to your heart. You are learning to hear your wisdom, right? So your body is more at peace. The biggest reason why people get addicted or get connected to a particular drink or again, that is because they don't know better. Their body doesn't get the chance to feel. So when you are more in harmony, you don't need these things to feel better. So you will stop it yourself. So most of the time people are really absolutely surprised that, I'm not choosing for things that I was doing before, or I'm choosing completely different things now. How is that possible? What kind of magic is it? So then I have to always explain that this is your own wisdom. This is your own wisdom, which is finally capable of making choices for you. Our body is always working for us. So every time it's showing a sign to slow down, listen to it. When you are tired, your body knows. So that's why when you are truly listening and when you are being aware of the sensations and that part of yourself, I would say you are coming closer. So for anyone who wants to really start, these are the core things or the main things that you can start immediately. You don't need anything for that. Right? You don't even need to meditate. A lot of people are tired of trying to meditate or trying different practices. So I always tell them we have to start from the ground up. Right? These are beautiful tools. I absolutely advise everyone to start a beautiful practice. Can be meditation, it can be anything that will get you closer to yourself, but your foundation need to be laid out as well. Otherwise, what are you building on? Otherwise, you plug in during that meditation time and then you plug out and go back to your mess. That is why people are stuck in this loop for decades. Because we don't do the actual work, because that's difficult, right? It's easier to plug into a meditation or something, and then you are sitting there for half an hour or even 1 hour, and then after 20 years, you see that nothing has changed. You are still unhappy. You're still doing the same things. You're still addicted in many ways.
So Rakhee, so if I summarize in a nutshell, first thing would be to understand if there is a disconnect, So if I'm addicted to something, understanding first and foremost is there is a disconnect, right? If I'm too much worried and anxious about the past and the future, and all this tends to give me those hints that, yeah, there is some disconnect. That's why this is how I am feeling or how I am thinking, right? Or I'm overly doing something. So there is some disconnect that gives me those hints. And second thing is, as you said, one is how to go start. First is what is my input in terms of senses? What is the input that I'm giving? All the 5 senses, right? Food, and what am I listening to? What am I looking at? What am I watching all throughout the day? So all that, like closely observing what is it that I'm feeding myself through my senses. Second thing would be, am I listening to my ego versus to my heart center? So ego would be something like, the good girl example that you give, I'm trying to please people, it's a very externally driven life where I'm doing things based on what would please others, what would look good in front of others, rather than listening to the center, core center of my heart, which says, okay, do this, but it might not be something that is like accepted, or probably, it's not a high value in the society, but somewhere your heart is saying that's what you need to do. So listening to that voice in you, right, which is not your ego, but is your core intuition, right? So that's how we start going back
Mhm.
home.
Yes.
Did I
Yes.
miss anything? Did I miss anything, or you want to add on anything?
No, no, you've said it very beautifully. You've summarized it really well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raki. I mean, this was so insightful. So I hope people would, think about things, and they could always come back with their questions and more, so that we can have a next chat on on some different topic. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sophia, for your time and for your beautiful presence. And thank
Lots
you,
of love.
everyone watching. Lots of love.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.